Retro or Die.
To say I love the Evil Dead franchise would be an understatement. Army of Darkness was such an awesome film, but an Evil Dead game, or at least heavily inspired by Evil Dead. Army of Darkness figures. Like, oh, here's Evil Dead, and here's Army of Darkness. In fact, it looks like something out of Evil Dead, and Army of Darkness was just a really fun movie. I didn't think I was watching Evil Dead. As a child, I grew up watching horror movies and TV shows. I remember fondly the first time I ever saw the Evil Dead films. It was the summer before I started 6th grade. My dad had made a reference to the Evil Dead films, and I didn't know what it was. He stopped, looked at me confused, because at this point, I was already pretty well versed in horror movies, or so I thought. He put in the Evil Dead DVD, and we had a marathon of all 3 movies. And ever since that summer, Evil Dead has been one of my favorite horror movie franchises ever made. Welcome to my channel, Retro or Die. My name's Forrest. Grab your PlayStation 2s and your chainsaws, and let's play Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick. Let's go. When I was first starting out on YouTube back in 2013, I knew the Evil Dead games were a must for me to review. What does that look like to you? Right there in the crotch region. Looks pretty funny to me, is what it looks like. I began with the PS1 game, Evil Dead, Hail to the King. A hard-as-nails game to beat, but overall pretty fun and a decent story. Then I reviewed Evil Dead Regeneration, a heartbreakingly awful game that is best left forgotten. And this is going to be the only level I'm doing as a Let's Play for this game. The rest of it I decided is going to be a game review because this game is shit. Unfortunately. It's so much shit that I actually don't want to do the Let's Play. I purposely skipped Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick because it's arguably my favorite Evil Dead game that's ever been made. I played this repeatedly in middle school and in high school. I waited to review it because I didn't feel like looking at it in a critical way, but since there's talks from Bruce Campbell about a new Evil Dead game in the works, and after binge watching all the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series, I felt like this was the right time. After years of waiting, let's finally dust off our PS2s and take a look at Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick. Released in the year 2003, Evil Dead, A Fistful of Boomstick was developed by VIS Entertainment and was the second Evil Dead game published by THQ based upon Sam Raimi's cult film franchise, The Evil Dead. The plot of the game takes place 3 years after the events in Hail to the King, with everyone's favorite chainsaw-wielding hero, Ash Williams, voiced by the legendary B-horror actor Bruce Campbell.
So you're probably asking yourself how a handsome devil like me ended up in a place like this with you, right? Alright, I'll tell you the whole story, but I warn you, it ain't pretty. May seem hard to believe, but these chiseled good looks have seen a whole lot of ugly. So I guess I'd have to start with the book. Legend has it that it was written by the Dark Ones. Necronomicon Ex Mortis, roughly translated, the Book of the Dead. About 20-some-odd years ago, Professor Noby unearthed the book at Castle Kandar and accidentally unleashed the Deadites in the woods outside Dearborn. That's when I got involved. To make a long story short, I was sent to hell and back then back again. And again.
Ash is in a bar drowning his sorrows, while at the same time watching a TV show that is talking about the Necronomicon. The TV host ends up playing Professor Noby's translations of the Necronomicon, and once again unleashes the Deadites onto Dearborn.
Play it? Don't play that...
Taste Rata, Mantos, Nosferatus.
Make mine a double.
It's now up to Ash to once again strap on the chainsaw and get the trusty boomstick ready in order to close the evil vortexes that are spreading all over the town. Little does Ash know that this problem is much bigger than it seems, and will have him traveling through time again and again. To put it simply, this is a good old-fashioned hack and slash game at its best. What I appreciate is Evil Dead has never been a complex idea, and the games up to this point acknowledge this. The formula is simple, but fun. Ash is good, Deadites are evil, kill them, and repeat. The developer of the game had the foresight to at least fix the glaring flaws from its predecessor, such as giving the player unlimited fuel for the chainsaw, whereas in Hail to the King tried to mimic other popular games of that time, having you feel like you're in a true survival horror game, such as Resident Evil. If we never saw Ash have to refuel the chainsaw in the movies, we should never have to worry about it in the game. Another plus is the variety of weapons at Ash's disposal, as well as the varying ammo types for the weapons. Cool. Exploration is met with reward, either with huge caches of ammunition, or a new weapon that you otherwise wouldn't obtain. Now, while I love this game, there are some very frustrating aspects that cannot be ignored. For starters, this game is easy and short. Even with all the semi-free exploration you may do, it can be beat in under 5 hours. And secondly, there is a lot of unnecessary padding thrown in to give the illusion that you're doing more than you actually are, such as closing the Deadite vortexes that constantly appear, often 2 to 3 times in one level. This will leave you constantly backtracking to a point where you'll have every map of the game memorized, even if you didn't want to. Another frustration I have is how all the items, whether they be key items to the main game or just bonus items, can only be accessed after you trigger a certain event to occur to make them accessible. Which means, no matter how much you may know this game by heart, there is no way to speedrun it by cutting corners by getting key items early, hence making you play the game fully over again and again. These flaws made me feel at times annoyed as an adult, where as a kid and teenager I wouldn't have noticed, feeling like I'm having my time wasted by doing seemingly pointless fetch missions.
Thanks. Looks like I owe you my ass.
That's alright, I'm not that kind of guy. But I'm gonna have to relieve you of any stolen goods you might have on you.
Once you've relieved me, can I get out of this crazy town?
Hey, there's no way I'm relieving you, pal, but sure, blow.
But where the game really shines is in its fan service and overall care and attention to detail. To make this feel like a true Evil Dead experience that any hardcore Evil Dead fan can appreciate. It's apparent from the start that the developer was invested into making this game feel like another movie, and for the most part it succeeds, giving us a whole new look into the Deadites and Dearborn. Ash's one-liners are hilarious and don't seem to repeat much, and as you progress farther in the game, he begins to say new ones. He also has unique actions he will do if you let the character sit idly for too long. And the fact that we get to use the Necronomicon spells against Deadites almost seems like a precursor of what the Ash vs. the Evil Dead show became.
Hello? Hello? Hey, wake up and smell the corpses.
Bruce Campbell does an outstanding job of voicing Ash, and he had me laughing all the way to the ending cutscene of the game.
So then the squirrel says, hey, you do whatever you want with your nuts, pal, but I'm eating mine.
On a scale of 1 to 5, I give Evil Dead A Fistful of Boomstick a 4. For any fan of the Evil Dead franchise, this is a must-own. And for those curious of early PS2 horror games, you won't find much better than this, offering equal amounts of comedy and horror elements together, much like the movies it's based off of. So in conclusion, Evil Dead A Fistful of Boomstick is my favorite Evil Dead game out of the THQ Trilogy. Now, I wouldn't recommend it to those looking to get a true survival horror experience. This isn't Resident Evil, and this isn't Silent Hill. This is for those who love Evil Dead, looking to laugh, have fun, and kill some deadites. Because just like the films, the games mirror the films perfectly. And if you want comedy and horror mixed together, as well as Bruce Campbell, you couldn't go wrong with Evil Dead A Fistful of Boomstick. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next game review. I bet you guys thought I was going to do a cheesy Ash one-liner right there, didn't you?
Groovy.